leaders bema trade union nemalunga nje phaca ema trade unions bokhanza lo bayafuna ukukhulumisa indzaba tepolitiki kodwa bafuna ukukhulumisa la trade union to an extent uma ngabe ba encourage ukuthi no align yourselves politically ndihambe no debate khona le indzaba tepolitiki in the same manner njengoba nisemasontweni lehlukene nisemasontweni lehlukene anithi nje netindzaba dale mazayonini naletindzaba dale makatholikeni nase methodist nifuna ukukhulumisa la trade union ngoba tsine nje sinako lokukholelwa lokuthi vele le dialogue ufuna ike iqale kulama comrades who are demanding dialogue to dialogue among themselves.
Bonga ukuthi usijoyine namuhla at the bridge. I mean, we just want to discuss issues related to the union, the labor and the social political environment of the country in general. Bamvincumbi ke baye basole bathi the trade union is no longer biting or it has lost its voice or whatever stinging criticism they may have. Is it fair to say, especially maybe some say in respect of the fact here since 2001 you have not been as active or as vocal? Angathi noma that's a fair criticism or observation to make.
No, siyavusela sivusele balaleli wethu inhlelo the bridge.
Yes.
Welcome to the office of the federation Mnguni. Mhlambe kuloku shoko kwekuthi mhlambe kubonakala ngathi trade union ingathi ayisi visible kusukela 2021 vele kutakwehlukana lokuthi ugathe kuthi be visible mayendani kutakwehlukana lokuthi ugathe kuthi be visible mayendani ngoba utawukhona lokubona lokuthi i-visibility lebeyibonwa ngilabanye basebenzisa ema lenses ema interest lesinye isikhathi abo bebayibona i-visibility mhlawumbe itolo nakuthande utawukhanza ke ukuthi kule visibility lo loyishoko ngoba ngiyakubona lokuthi uma uyisusa ku 2021 vele ufuna kuyimatanisa ne visibility yaleti phithiphithi lebekho from that mhlambe umuntu akacale ngekuthi utawukhumbula phela ukuthi idolo i-trade union bekunguye lebe i-leader i-leader ema demands lebe kafaka besine nane mabhena nje tsine lebe kakhuluma nge-repeal ya 1973 decree utawubona ke lokuthi i-trade union beyi-leader ngesizathu sekuthi utawukhanza ukuthi someone else beka ngathi there was a vacuum noma ke they had to strengthen simo lesikhombisa kwesekela tindzaba tatepolitiki letipyo.
Okay.
But utawubona lokuthi building to 2021 bese kuvele kunema political parties are active, very active. And now as the trade union movement we appreciated that.
Okay.
Good, yes, the rightful owners of the space.
Okay.
Say politique, they are taking center stage. Perhaps it may be need not to confuse the public.
Okay. For
the public to even think, good see vele trade union imiselwe guhola tinguquko ngekwepolitiki ngoba i-trade union ngeke ize yakhe hulumende. Ake ngithi ke lokho besikunaka ngisho nala ekusebenteni kwema trade unions nebaholi bema trade unions bese sesinakile lokuthi kunengi lokungathi kuyafuneka lokusebenta tindzaba tepolitiki ngala trade union kodwa kunengi futhi nalokufuna ukuthi sebenta ngalala la soft khona ngala trade union. Leaders bema trade union nemalunga nje phaca ema trade unions bokhanza lo bayafuna ukukhulumisa tindzaba tepolitiki kodwa bafuna ukukhulumisa la trade union to an extent uma ngabe ba encourage ukuthi no align yourselves politically ndihambe no debate khona le tindzaba tepolitiki in the same manner njengoba nisemasontweni lehlukene nisemasontweni lehlukene anithi nje netindzaba dale emazayonini naletindzaba dale emakatolikeni nasemethodist nifuna ukukhulumisa la trade union nihamba umuntu ahamba ayoba likatolika ahamba ayokhuluma tindzaba tasekatolika ekatolika so uma uthi ufuna ukukhuthatha that view ukhanzeke ukuthi vele still ngoba i-trade union inaloko embathiseka kwekuthi ine protection yabo ILO and so on and so forth resulting to a situation lapho khona kungabukakala ngathi trade union ngiyo vele kumele isebenze tindzaba tepolitiki ngalelilanga leli kuyocatshangwa ukuthi trade union ngiyo kumele isebenze tindzaba tepolitiki kuyobe kufa kwepolitiki ngoba i-trade union by its nature it would never form a government lokungenteka if kungavunyelwa i-trade union ukuthi i-lead tindzaba tepolitiki noma ihlale i-center stage tindzaba tepolitiki ukuthi ngeke achubeke lama demands la political ngoba yona vele lokungenteka ungakhanza ukuthi ingaba nema priorities within lama organizations lekumele ukuthi athathe ibe nema preferences kulama organizations lekumele ukuthi asebenzele tindzaba tepolitiki and in that process le agenda leyo ingacubeke.
So basically it's a welcome relief lokuthi now the rightful people who should be championing these things are now taking center stage. It perhaps allows you to now focus on labor related issues but within the political space, anti-divorce entirely, but send out a secondary role.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we are looking up to a situation lapho khona political parties but aba nema rallies abo and invite us to organize membership yethu to attend. Ngoba siyakhona phela lokubona lokuthi there are some organizations lokhanza ukuthi they are not proscribed. Noma ke akusiwo lawo lathatheke ngekuthi angema organization la abukeka ngathi angemaphekula sikhuni.
Yes.
Angawubita umhlangano. Kudeke umhlangano nje thina lesingawu attend bangabe sibitiwe kuthiwa attendana umhlangano wa political party X. Yes.
So are you assuring the viewers today ukuthi i-trade union, especially Tucoswa, is non-aligned and iyawusebenza na any political grouping leba bitago or nalena leba invite?
Yes, that is the position of the federation.
Okay.
Save obviously. Kuti I may have to state kuti nyalo i-federation ine political policy.
Okay.
A document lebengekho itolo nakuthandi.
Okay.
Leyo document leyo isethelwe ukuthi ito define I character ye federation ne color ye federation.
Okay.
On issues la political.
Okay.
Ngesizathu sekuthi i-federation has deliberately ku congress yayo yaka November 2021 for the first time yathatha I decision yekuthi it will have a particular ideology let ayilandzela yona as a federation.
What is that ideology?
That ideology is a simple ideology, okay. A working class ideology, that philosophy of the working class, the working class theory.
Okay.
And yona ke uma ungabe uyilandzela utawukhanza ukuthi iyakhona ukudefinela ukuthi society kanjani, iyakunika ema tools longakhona analyze ngawo the economics, the political, the social, like every way of life of a society.
Okay.
Lokungenda ke ukuthi ukhanzeke ukuthi vele uma ngabe setifundzisekile letimfundziso te working class philosophy i-federation ingaba ne-position zite letaba aligned with the working class philosophy in terms of its color and character.
But would someone mischievously interpret that to mean that you are laying the building block into transforming the trade union into a political party in the future? Would that be fair?
No, it is not. It is not. Save obviously, we do want the trade union to understand the cause for its struggle.
Okay.
Struggle is the trade union angabi nje through common sense. The character of the federation ingashintshi on the basis ukuthi ngibani lo se office ngaleso sikhathi.
Okay.
But there should be a pillar lapho khona ema actions nema reactions nema responses e federation kunathi ateke ukuthi are based asekelwe kunasisekelo sana ipolice nayi when it comes to political responses and political reactions.
Now, and it's interesting ngobhala ukhuluma ngale working class. I mean, if you are defining the working class not in strict terms, the stouty, it's everyone who sells his labor for profit, right? Manje umbuzo lomkhulu, especially in Swaziland, and I would like to hear your view about this, is that the percentage of bandvu labasebentako la Kangwane is very small. But even the percentage of those who are organized by trade unions into labor sector is even smaller. Why should we take seriously the trade union as a significant player in the social political game of Swaziland if you are representing a very minuscule number of people?
You see, when it comes to the organization yebantu, it is the minority that is organized that will influence the direction any debate in any society. Notwithstanding the issue of numbers. See, Nenje, we not would say, yes, we are not a representative. We are not correctly in terms of percentage. Kule issue leyo ukuthi mhlambeni i-trade union ibonakala ngathi i-30 nombolo. I would start by saying we are a very necessary group.
Okay.
Very necessary in all spheres. In onke lama sectors nje empilo, we are very necessary. Utawukhanza nje ukuthi ake ngibekise nje in the international forum. The country angeke ize ikhone ku recognizeka as a balanced country without organized labor.
Okay.
Yet the country in the process benefita ganengi ngesizathu sekuthi there is organized labor. Le tivumelwana nje lokhanza kusithi ngama development agreements abo EU na some other cooperating partners elive. Bayakufuna lokuchecka lokuthi there are trade unions that are operating. Kudaba ke nale issue la ukuthi ingabe kubangelwa yini vele kubonakala ngathi le nombolo ncane le organize ke ngayo ema trade unions. Kunezathu letinenge letehlukene. Lezathu futhi article la kithi eSwatini kuphela. Ungaya na kumavela ngemakhelwane, kumavela abomakhelwane. Lapha nje in terms of union density, livele lilidako la ka SADC iBotswana. Ine malunga ema trade unions lasetulu.
Even than South Africa?
Yeah, even than South Africa.
Oh, that's interesting.
Then kulandzele South Africa inangisathi noma kulandzele iMauritius. Utawukhanza ke kuthi uma uthi uyakusonzelela lokho kuhambisana nale ndlela lekuchasheka ngayo 70 lam 17. Bongathi usulandzela practice ema employment contracts aseBotswana. Lamanengi lokuba precarious in nature. Laba short term contracts and so on. Ngoba lokho it is designed to intimidate ema workers ukuthi angakhoni kukwenda nekuprotecta emalungelo awo. Otherwise vele thina we are a necessary factor. The employers will know. Lela la siyakhona ngama negotiations they would know. Ukuthi yes, i-trade union ikhona and they cannot do as they please.
But I mean, it's interesting. Ngoba uthi the employers would know. It's funny that in government, he seems to be pro-employers more than pro-trade unions. And I'm saying this because if you look at the textile workers and their labor conditions, are you happy ngale ndlela labasebenta? Never mind the man. I'm not even talking about the man. I'm talking about the conditions of work themselves. I mean, what I know you can only do so much as trade union, but gun affect kanani nini mabe hulumende angekho on the side of workers.
Ngicabanga ukuthi le issue leyo itawucala lapha ekuthenini what is flowing in the DNA of hulumende. sitawubona lokuthi the character of hulumende una lena that repels, that fronts against the freedom of association as a concept. Uma lokho kusho ukuthi organizations that ihlanganele on the basis of a potential to question, including their terms and conditions of employment. Hulumende utiveta abonakala kungathi ufeel threatened by that kind of a situation. Ganzi, one would have thought ukuthi phela uma ngabe let 70 to engage lama employers to engage ngetindlela letilamthethweni titeleka diphocelela lama employers ukuthi akavume ema improved terms and conditions of employment. Hulumende yena ubenefita ngekuthi aqhamuka adonithelisa. And ke utawubona lokuthi sike negotiate nema employers. Negotiate lamanye ama benefits akasiyise lebantwana esikolweni akasinike indlu teklala and so on. Uma ngabe sitelekela lokho hulumende utawuchamuka nje ngokuthi lese maphoyisa kuthi anivimbe ningakwendi nakuthola lokho achamuka afake umthelo. Utawubuka ke lokuthi indlela kulesinye isikhathi la wired ngayo akasi wired ukhuluma nayindzaba nje yaka textile ibhlungu kakhulu lenzaba yaka textile ngoba khona tisebenti takhona tisabhadarwa through lama wages regulation orders kukhona ukuthi tiorganizeke ngendlela la ungakhona khona kuya nato nebacashi bato kuma negotiations by the textile unions. But kuso sonke isikhathi uma ngabe kuyokhulunyiswa lamahola aka textile textile sector is one of the most vulnerable sectors. One of
the employees women and most of them
sectors.
they were not that much educated.
Yes, utawukhanza ukuthi let 70 lapha yana tiyasebenta uma ngabe sine sick note lomcasha kasibhadari. Notwithstanding ukuthi une sick note that has been signed by a medical practitioner akasibhadari. Uya ku maternity akambhadari. Usebenta overtime angayibhadari lo employer on the basis ukuthi wehlulwe itarget during normal working hours. Aphume ebusuku ngabo 12 angammikise endlini.
Unani leave eningakana.
That is how worse. Utawukhanza ke ukuthi I leave letaba khona ngilama holiday December la kusuke kuvaliwe khona, then that is their leave. Angavumeleki lesisebenza ukuthi nje emkhathini wonyaka athathe leave as ngesikhathi lesifunwa nguye. Okay ke mhlawumbe kunale issue yalokuthi ingabe vele stivela ukuthi thine we feel ukuthi lama vulnerable sectors aye adinge I-protection by a government. Aye adinge I-protection by a government. A government, because lama sectors lawa akusiko ukuthi ngama sectors lefikako. In Lesotho there is a huge textile industry in Lesotho. But lokwendekako hulumende ukhona is close in terms of inspections. Kuthi let 70 tingasebenza etindzaweni letibhunyako, let 70 tishayise ngesikhathi, dibhadaro uma ngabe tende ma overtime and so on and so forth. But thine lakithi hulumende ngakufanele uyakwenda lokho.
Okay.
Uyakwenda lokho through labor inspections. Unfortunately lelitiko laka labor kubonakala njengathi akusilo litiko mhlambe lelithatheka serious even in terms of budget allocation. Utawuthi ke umbuto ungabaphi ke ama trade unions lapho. Ema trade unions akhona but very struggling to organize lama workers. Because lama workers lapha yana achashwe ngema contracts. Achashwe ngema contracts nje fixed term contracts. Na la ngabhalwa nekubhalwa lama fixed term contracts. Uyatshelwa nje ukuthi utawusebenza kuleli viki leli uhole ngalwesihlanu. Kuthi ke leli hlobo lwakho lwale contract luthini awulwati. kulapho nje ubona nje lapho mase kuchamuka lo employer asathi no umsebenzi sowuphelile. So they are in that kind of a situation. Kungileso sizathu leso thina at federation level sifune kwenta ema proposals latawuletha ipolicy reform.
Okay.
Ipolicy reform letawukwenta ukuthi tisebenti letisebenta emsebentini longesi casual, emsebentini lo permanent nature, atingacasheki ngema contract latawukwenta ukuthi babe ku fixed term contract lekutaba perpetual, because that would be casualization of work. So the federation then now is intending to intervene through policy formulations kule lapha ihlala khona ngama tripartite forums like Boma Labor Advisory Board and onke lamanye structures where the federation is represented.
You were talking about policy reform and ukhulume futhi ngama general orders. We were talking the other day ngendaba yabo minimum wage le South Africa sebawenyusile. Lela kangwane nithi you are struggling because of the things that about general orders. Awusinike nje sithombe ukuthi yini lama policy hindrances la ngenta ukuthi kube likhuni ukuthi ningathola le minimum wage lebenifuna in 2018. I think I remember 3.5.
Yes.
Yini letinkinga leni tibonako lethinga ukuthi ticatululwe at policy level.
One, kufuna sicale kube ne political will.
Okay.
Political will kulaba kuletishaya mthetho. Umthetho kutawubona lokuthi laven ushaywa through cabinet. I-cabinet lesungula imithetho. Ibese ke iyayithatha iyise parliament. Sine nje laven asikaze sibe nanaku lekuthiwa ngama private bills. Kube kungasuka nje iorganization noma kungasuka umuntu a private citizen submit ibill alobishe labase parliament le bill yakhe ibe ihamba iyo discuss by parliament. We have never seen it. So one kutawucala kube ne political will. Le political will is simple we understand, very simple. Yi-issue nje yokubona ukuthi uma ngabe imali le inengi la emakhikini emaswati, the economy of the country will thrive. And logo will even attend ema issues ema social unrests. Ekuthi bantu bavukelane bodwa bakhuthuzane, bantu bagcekezelane etindlini ngathi sathothi baphuyile. Because everyone else utaba anako logo lokuncane lokungakhona kumrana ngendlela la ngakhona grane kaka. It's a question of understanding simple life issues. Ekuthenini let us support as hulumende lo ngabe ukhona. Let us support ema initiatives la ngasho ukuthi the private sector is pumping money into the pockets of the workers.
Okay.
And then the workers will be taking care of their parents. Kutawukwehlela etikolweni kwehlela, and it will give some relief to lema expectations like bese kubheka ukuthi uhulumende awende.
Okay.
That should be the starting point. Lekwendekako ukuthi once waqala lawo ma processes lawo, qala na debate na ile ukuthi qala na debate na iye ukuthi manje uma ngabe lesinye sisebenzi kusho lo munye lovele lo ngamholi lo 3.5 qala yena kukhuluma akhulumele lo munye athi manje laba hola 3.5 ke mase sensi nifuna 3.5 kube i national minimum wage utawuthatha lo 3.5 wakhe aholele
lo munye
lesidzandzana lesikhathi umntwana yini. Ubone lapho lokuthi the problem iqala lapho. Iqala ngalesikhathi laba kube sekuba nema shop stewards alabanye in the discussion. Isimple le issue national minimum wage emkhona. Ngoba akusiki utabe kungasho ukuthi ngithi bokucala kukwenda la in the region. Sine nje we are excited ukuthi at long last hulumende uyilalele indzaba yethu and wayithatha wayimixa ayilo ukuthi ayilo akasendele study sekuthi singa implementa kanjani. And as we speak in the week of 15 to 18 March kutabe kunema experts aka ayilo tokhulumisa nje issue national minimum wage.
Okay.
I consulted everyone. Nyalo, they are developing the concept. ILO has taken over. And ke kulula ke lokuthi ILO akhona kusibonela lokuthi kulela livelela nakulela livelela bekwentekani kutawukwentekani issues kuma issues aleto disebenti leti ngabe tihola their minimum wages kutawukwentekani disebentini le domestic workers and ngoba lokho yinto lebeyiveli khona la kulala amanye ama countries.
So, are you saying we're that close to getting that minimum wage here at 3.5?
Oh yes. Kungeke ke kube ngi-3.5 phela beku ngi-3.5 nga-2018.
Okay.
Sina nje what would then be doing now? Siphinze sesibuyele nyalo sifuna ku review lokuthi nyalo uma ngingake kuthiwe nyalo singena kwa discussions the national minimum wage. Funa ukuthi the national minimum wage ibe at what level? Not it cannot be 3.5 mongabe bekungi 3.5 nanga 2018 in the same manner as usho nje ukuthi eSouth Africa they have reviewed. Yes.
So yini ke lo mehluko wale minimum wage ne living wage ngoba you always use these things interchangeably ethine siyalahleka nalokuthi yini lama you were speaking about ukuthi la kangwane presently indlela esisebenzisako ni bargain at the collective level kude ukuthi unions in the sector can bargain with the employer bashayisane ngetifuba bateleke bavumelako and bayise lebavumenako kuhulumende. What's the present arrangement nyalo?
Structure sema negotiations noma se collective bargaining currently lesisebenta ko laven ngina structure lekuthiwa enterprise based collective bargaining. Uma ngabe uyi organization le organize ema factory aga textile and apparel noma ka manufacturing,
Okay.
you will have to hop from one factory to the other unegotiate lama workers.
Oh, so possible nokuthi futhi uthole different
Yes vele kwenteka kanjalo and the union utawukhanza ukuthi ku factory X ifike yavumelana na 6% kuma workers akhona ku factory B yavumelana nga 5% and lapha nalapha then the union will be all over the industrial area and kube sekuba nana level ke le at sectoral level. Lena le at sectoral level access collective bargaining ke in the context of collective bargaining. Sekungakulo kuye kube seku resulta into wages orders lana bathi ngemagazeti labanye. It is a collective begging forum.
Collective begging.
Lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Ngesizathu sokuthi the workers lapha yana uma ngabe tiya lapha yana kuma wages regulation councils, they cannot strike to push the employers to accede to their demands. Lapha yana kuyavotwa. Ngeke ngakusho earlier ngathi hulumende has proved lapho ukuthi at all times yena will side with the employers. Kuyavotwa le representation yalingana. Naku nje sihleli la ka textile sihleli ku textile wages regulation council. Kutaba nenombolo yema workers kube nenombolo yema employers bese kuba nenombolo tebantu labatabe ba appointwe nguhulumende to protect ema interest and represent ema interest ahulumende ku wage setting ye private sector. Lesithi it is irregular.
Ema interest ahulumende ku private sector.
Yes there will be representatives of hulumende sitting in the bargaining table kuma forums ma private sectors. Ngibekisa njenge textile sector. When it comes to a deadlock lenqubo yale wages council itawuthi akuvotwe. Kuso sonke isikhathi ngilokaqala lama wages councils. Once kwefike kuvotweni lama representatives ahulumende they will vote with the employers.
You would imagine hulumende phela wesive wakwengithi. So he's got to look at our interest. Why are voting the employers instead of vote to the most vulnerable, in this case being workers?
I mean that is the unfortunate situation. I mean that is the unfortunate part of then the whole arrangement. Then that is why we have then now said at policy level now, ake sambeni umthetho wethu siubuyekete utowukwenda kuthi kube nema bargaining councils,
Okay.
sectoral bargaining councils. Sectoral bargaining councils are bipartite engagements. The employers and the workers and the employer representatives and the worker representatives baya laphayana etafuleni banama rights abo onke to push for a settlement. The employers can lock out the whole workforce so that the workers can agree to a 2% proposal by the employers. The workers, on the other hand, the trade unions can strike to force the employers to accede to their proposed demands. And logo akwendeki in the current setup of the wages regulation councils.
Okay.
And then now utawubona lokuthi emaveni labo makhelwane ukhanza nje kuthi ema unions la ka transport ahlangene nalama baqashi baka transport. If they go to strike, they all go to strike. And then there is then a collective agreement that comes out of lauma negotiations now. That collective agreement would then be the entry payment for onke ema workers in that sector. That is how sectoral wages are determined.
Okay. But I want to check, what does this mean to me? Lengcashwe le expatriate lase Pakistan si two sebende stolo ngingdaga boy ngingsuwa ngisebende restaurant. What does this whole 3.5 bargaining, how does it change my life? How will it mean to me? And ubekse kahle nje wakhuluma ngalaba boneni labasita abosisi labasita ngabamfana. Now it's so 3.5 sebatohola 3.5 ngemthetho. Mina ngisebenta restaurant ngithola 2.5. Kwendeka kanjani la?
Those are some of lama discussions lefuna kuthi abe khona ngoba vele kukhona ema sectors latau uplift latau hamba gradually towards national minimum wage. Lama sectors nje ikakhulu le sector ka domestic.
Okay.
Ngoba I sector lengesiyo a production it is giving service kind of. I see your le manufacture go. Akusiyo le nema profits.
Okay.
There would be a different arrangement for ema sectors lapho khona good a profit making.
Okay.
Save obviously for ema sectors la utawukhanza ukuthi they are providing national service, they are providing regional service of SFN. Vele lawo they would be falling within le now. But lawo latawukhanza ukuthi ngema organizations nje kungema individuals lapha nalapha they will definitely be catered for. There will be an arrangement lesho ukuthi benyuka kanjani bona kutawuthatha isikhathi lesingakanani ezenyuka lo employer sita kangakanani letsebenzi and so on and so forth.
But are you able to organize those workers as a trade union? Sengisho laba sebenza ema restaurants, etitolo, tilahen, petrol attendants and all of that. Are you able to organize?
Difficult.
Why?
Very difficult. It is because they are contracts of employment. They are so precarious. To them to be seen by organizing themselves and then like demanding their rights, they would be terminated on that very same day.
But what can be done? Does it mean Hulmende needs to enforce a law lenda ukuthi lama precarious employment conditions angabe khona?
Yes. The only way to attend to Lena, it is a question of gumiswe casualization of labor. Casualization of labor. Labor is casualized by variety characters. I mean in terms of the employment contract. Kungathiwa you are a fixed term someone. Kungathiwa latitolo nje nyalo kukhona nakulese basebakubita ngekuthi ngema permanent full timers. Yeah. No, not permanent full timers, but permanent part timers.
Yeah.
Yeah. you are a part-time, let's say permanent. And uyabona ke lokuthi uma ngabe kuqhamuka ema contracts la kanjalo nema categories la kanjalo ema workers vele lokho kutawugcina sekudestroy any relationship that destroy even the mere definition of an employee in terms of our in terms of our acts.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So kubuyela ke lapha ekuthenini ukuthi le issue kufuna ukuthi kwetanye ukuqiniswa le mithetho leta uprotecta lama workers against being exploited, because it is high level exploitation lokuthi kwakhiwe ema contracts lata ukwenda lo the 70 singabisho noma sichashiwe noma sikachashwa uthi uemployed ubucube kufuna umsebenzi. That is the situation now that is happening to an extent that le 70 sigcina sesithe at least ngilala ngisithengile lesinkwa. Yet that should not be the case for thine esilive. We are to be seen advocating for decent work. Decent work ufake khathi reasonable wages.
But all comes back to hulumende basically. Ngoba hulumende lofuna ukushaya lo mthetho, if what I'm hearing you very well. Without protecting my workers.
Yes, it is not only hulumende yedwa. The workers too. The workers must demand that the government should do it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and the workers must stand up and say, hulumende must do it.
Okay.
Yes.
You must put the pressure.
They must put pressure. They must put pressure.
But what do you make then of the labor brokers? Ngoba there is now a lot of involved le phatha suitcase yayo njena iqashe bam. What's your position around labor brokers? Especially lapho khona bathi bona no, we are providing employment. Bambala labasithengile singwa.
There is no employment that is provided by labor brokers. Ema labor brokers utawukhona lokho understand lokuthi le issue ema labor brokers, it is a direct return of that area lapho khona labor was a commodity. Lo shokuthi nje emandla emuntu awungawathengisela lomunye kubhadaro wena. Lapho khona workers were treated as objects or things. That time of slavery, the master and servant era. Ngoba during that time bekuba nemuntu nje munye loba nalesisebenzi. Ativalele endlini ute wena soma business utochasha lesisebenzi la kulomnikati. Tihambe tiyosebenta le tibuye kubhadarwe wena. Then that is why nga 1948 ILO then came out and said, but labor is not a commodity. You can't sell emandla emuntu for your benefit. Utawutsike lo munye but ema labor brokers aqasha abantu kude ema labor brokers aqasha abantu. Utakwendana ngoba ibusiness, I would make an example eMontigny. Le business ngiyaMontigny. The employer is Montigny. Maso qhamuka wena but usebenta the core business of the company. Ubese so uthi banikwe ngumsebenzi. It is not true. Because they are rendering services to Montigny. Ude wena sihlahla ngisho sinye. And they are taking care, and bona they are rendering service, and that's the definition of employment, of an employee, someone who renders service to another in return for remuneration.
So nina full vele ma labor brokers.
Ma labor brokers in a city, it is complete slavery. It is not even modern slavery. It is the very old slavery.
And then no Pala, I'm curious lapha ngalendzaba yama labor inspectors. I don't know what is are you happy with it? Ngoba I lived in Norway for so many years.
Yes.
And one of the things that was big is this thing of labor inspection. That they come and inspect. One of the big fear thing was the inspection, carbon inspection, whether it's cleanliness, whether it's labor standards, whether it's everything. And it kept employers and everyone on his or her toes. Are you happy with labor inspection in the country?
In fact, we have always been raising the issue, and I am told, I am not sure whether you can be in a position to have an audience with the labor officials or the senior officials within the Ministry of Labor, and check. We were made to believe at some point that there are only 2 vehicles responsible for labor inspection in the country now. Only 2.
The entire country.
Yeah,
servicing
the entire country.
No, it tells you.
If then they are saying there are so many, let them say so. But at the time we were following around 2020, there were only 2 vehicles. Servicing out the whole country in terms of labor inspectorate. And logo clear would say good labor inspection under those circumstances.
And therefore, when you sell a level of exploitation.
And therefore, when you sell a level of exploitation.
Yeah, no, that's painful.
Yes.
And then, but let us now talk to the trade union itself. You have been hogging headlines sometimes with a level of internal fights and everything. I mean, it should be expected everywhere. There's always a contestation of ideas, of whatever, and especially in a gathering like a trade union. Is this a fair contestation, corner with trade unions and the fights, going to conference and all of that? Is it still healthy, or you need to have some kind of a permanent mediation process to ensure you don't fracture the delicacy of the union, trade union federation like Tucoswa?
Okuse temguni lokungakanani lesike sakubona, save obviously for those contestations very abanest kuma democratic organization. Ngoba ungakhanza nje ukuthi kulamanye amabandla amekuthandazwa ungake ukhanzela abanye babambene ngendlela longathi wena sekune violence kanti cha ngiyona ncubo vele
yalapha esontweni
yalapha esontweni. Otherwise kuliciniso ke noko ukuthi kungafuna ukuthi kunakwe lokuthi ingabe ngeke yini kugcine seku destroye lama values la kumele ukuthi respecteke ku trade union as a democratic organization. Kukhona thina into lebesiye sitifunze lokufaka ekhathi kuhlonipha imphumela ya conference. Lokho sekubonakala ngathi akusiko la kithi kuphela. Kuthi within the trade union movement la khaya you will see such happening within even the mass democratic movement in various forms. Lokuthi sekungathi we have to continuously sifundisane nge-organizational discipline. Nge-organizational discipline. Ngoba lesiku realize akho sekuba kuneng lokungathi kuba ne congress hangover. Yeah, that will take then now comrades would be drunk for the whole period. Bapinze they would want to sober up towards Congress again, and then they would want to be seen to be sober, and then now continue with the asikuthathe like, because we do not. Good my comrades, they would go to conference instead of coming out of conference united. They will come out of conference but divided on their voting lines. There is nothing wrong mobilize and having preferences. There is nothing wrong with that. But after then the Congress, which should be the highest decision-making structure. After you wanna say one would expect, obviously, I would say they should be rallied behind by everyone in the organization. But we can't just say that and stop there. We then encourage, even those labasababek leadership, about when them efforts to unite, abe deliberate and abe conscious.
To reach out.
Yes, to reach out to lama comrades to say, Buyani, let us work together. Let us work. Kukungabi nje into lebatayikhuluma, but they must be seen doing that.
But is it not easy kukwenda at that personal level mhlawumbe much more difficult when it's the union fracturing say phume cards or two unions sekalwa manje ashayisana ngetifuba. We have seen it going to conference here to Tucoswa where the unions themselves kuyashayiswana. Even the unions organizing in the same sector, I mean, especially for Tucoswa, which really amalgamated a lot of unions together. So cracker again. Should we be worried with this milestone that you reached in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, is now threatened in 2024?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, not at all. Very solid. Very solid. Obviously, there would be discussions then, and even those discussions are not that serious a cause for one to then get scared or to be worried.
Okay.
No, not at all. See, than kuthi kungamane kwenteke, we were a bit worried with the amalgamation of the lama unions within the sectors, which we had assisted as a federation to merge. But as per mandla, because even now as we speak, we are attributing lokuthi trade union movement ibe weak in terms of numbers and in terms of strength and in terms of sustainability to small unions. We are then now even encouraging as we speak small unions to merge, because nakholelwa ukuthi the issue yekumerge, it is an idea that is ideal.
Yeah.
We can only attend to issues that will threaten. But as a federation, the merger that occurred in 2012 is very solid.
But I mean, the person would argue, no, but the reason why silwa in the trade union is because careerism has emerged. For example, for example, I mean, which can be understandable, but if I had come njengayo contester Babengongwane, may his soul rest in peace, when he was the after having given a service for that long, have I contested Babecha and stole him, may his soul rest in peace. Therefore, Gunama positions let's say ring fenced for what others would call career activists or leaders in the trade union. The SG has been there for a long time. What is your comment around that?
I think Leo comment Leo noma loko kubuka loko normally it gets then to be founded on ignorance.
Okay.
And then bayathetheleleka umuntu loya akhulume vele akhulunyiswe ukuthi akade tuthini ngoba utawubuka lokuthi the employers that we are dealing with kuba nje na HR loba lapha za retire, kuba na CEO loba lapha yana iboard yakhe imrenewele ma contracts kaneng, simply because they would want to retain that organization, ne culture yayo, ne culture yale organization, ne memory yale organization, nekuthi as umuntu akhula, then uba netinto letinengi latatiko la khona kokusita la suka hamba na mhlambe ke kuna naye ukuthi kungaze kucabangeke nje ukuthi na GINA naye athi so isikhathi esithi kanti iqiniso phela wena mnguni mina nje ngisethemini yami yokuqala. It is my first term as the General Secretary of Tucoswa.
Oh yes, you were DSG before.
Yes, I have always been DSG.
Yeah.
So it is my first term. And ngisho noma ungake ubale even my positions okuba DSG utawukhanza ukuthi they are not prolonged. Ngaphandle nje ukuthi mhlambeni umuntu had been visible lapha nalapha abonakala ngathi ke sonesikhathi. It is my first term as the Secretary General of Tucoswa. Mhlambeni kuleyo ukuthi kube sesekubonakala ngathi kuyi careerism. Utawubuka lokuthi successful trade unions and federations elsewhere, they have kept their leaders. there is no successful federation that we have seen in the region and elsewhere. Let's change their leadership as if they are changing they are changing lack of.
Ngiyabona ukuthi ufuna avoid
No,
underwears. Let's go ahead.
No, I want to run away from that.
Yeah.
But iqiniso ke lithi lokho it works for the trade union. Sitawubuka nje ukuthi ema leaders lebesinawo itolo. The leaders lesithi we have seen them doing things. They've been within the trade union movement for some time.
But you
Your comrade Vus Ngongwane, your comrade
JJ.
Yes, Jablan Situl. They've been around for some time.
But
And in the process, then that is how they've accumulated
Experience.
defense mechanisms for the workers.
So you're saying you must find the balance of being democratic on the one hand and also retaining the knowledge and experience accumulated over years to the trade union so that it can meet the employer at equal footing.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
True. And again, kumcoka ke noko na emnguni lokuthi ukhona lokubona lokuthi at the same time trade unions must have some sustainability programs where they will be taking care of their own leaders. Because the leader should not remain in office because the delegates manje sympathize no, that should not be the case.
Okay,
the trade union should say no. Leader ake sikudeploye lapha kuma investments ethu awuke uyosibukela 1 na 2 na 3. Yes, ake uyosibukela 1 na 2 na 3. Siva ngathi le speed is awusakhona le speed sakho lohamba ngaso nyalo akusiso lesisifunako.
But talking of investments, trade union movement, is it doing something in beyond the Gula na Hulmende to empower their workers, cooperatives, investment wings and all of that, so that a member doesn't just benefit by Gutsi Koka 10 rand, 1500, whatever, to the trade union, but Gutelugu Patega or Actual Union, apparently a funeral cover.
It is a question of culture issue nyayelwe. Starting point ukuthi kufuna ukuthi ema members ema trade unions are accept ukuthi they have to pay subscriptions to maintain and to sustain their own trade unions. We have seen ema trade unions like SNAT. We have seen ema trade unions that are very low in terms of membership, like Sufiao, but they are very sustainable. And they are carrying out some investments lapha nalapha. And again, these comrades are paying 2% to subscriptions to the union. And I am sure they are the highest in terms of contributors to their union, NEMA subscriptions. Then that is why they are very stable. They are very stable in conducting them. It is a question lekungafuna ukuthi iqale lapho lokufundziseka. But obviously that has to be led. Ngeke kutendakalele. Kutawubita ukuthi thina leadership sikufundzise ukuthi akwendeke. Because uma ungake ubuke kuyi character lendekako. Kusimo lesendekako. Uma ngabe sithi comparison nje thina sicomparison i-character ema trade unions la kithi naseLesotho. Bantu lesingakhona ukuthi comparison nabo is almost same size. Let's almost sne history futhi lefuna kufana because they are not liberation movement that assisted the trade unions in Lesotho. In the same way, we were not assisted by any liberation movement. Ukanza ukuthi the character of the trade union iyafanana neyethu. But we can't then say let us sit back. Sithi no siyafanana nalabanye and so on. We must have that kind of a discussion. As we speak, General Council has resolved ukuthi akanje kuyobuka ukuthi kube ne cooperative ye federation ibe at national level, at federation level. Okay. So those are some of them the initiatives and starting points towards kwakha ema programs that are going to the membership ibone itibone yona something getting into their pockets as a result of their being members.
The trade union.
Yes.
And then I am curious to know, Hulumende has only just recently lifted the ban on public gatherings. Umnguni had banned it in 2021. Are we looking at the trade union going back into the streets, or itabalogu isambuka lesimo, or perhaps itawusebenta lokuyopota kuyoceba eka aisle and that's it?
Hey, buka ke mkhulu ngiyayijabulela lendzaba lo shoko bengayiva leyo ukuthi uhulumende has lifted. Bengayiva kanti ngiyigathe ngalabo vemele ukuthi ngalelilanga yendeka.
Yeah.
Otherwise vele thine bese as a labor movement we have decided ukuthi we'll be going back because that is a pressure point that we know. And liqiniso we have learned liqiniso lithi ayikho into leningathi ndawuhamba niyoyiwina etafuleni uma ngabe wehlulekile kukuwina estaladeni. Because uma ngabe nisetafuleni niyakhuluma nibe ngu4 but uma ngabe se ningakhoni kunakeka lapho uma ngabe nikhuluma ningu4 lele nikhuluma naye kufuna ukuthi ababone labo basuke banthumile. Uma ngabe sekuvalwe lolo hlelo lelo, then there is a problem in the country. There is a problem. Le issue leyo nje thina sikhumbula umnguni athe lo umntana enkosi njalo umntana enkosi Simelana athe no so uya adjust nyalo ngoba sigcina ukhuluma lendzaba lena la ngabo September in last year, I can't recall the date. Uthi I know so uya adjust nyalo uya adjust September noma October.
Yeah,
Bomasipala nyalo sebangasikhulumisa phela nje mengabe sitawuba ngu10 lamgwaqo. Sabona ke lokuthi cha umntana enkosi uphilela nje kunene eveni lakhe nje yedwa. Ngoba lento lena lele siyikhulumisa ukuthi kune Public Order Act, and the Public Order Act yona nje ize ithi akufuneki sicela imvumo anyone mase ngi50. Yes, yena ke uthi kufuna siyocela imvumo bas entertain mase ngi10. And logo kwakha a mockery of a sitting member of the crown. A mockery. Ngoba kuye kuvisane ebuhlungu ukuthi niyahamba niyayikhulumisa lento lena international forum, and someone is saying then that was said by a minister sithi ke sine yes, and every right thinking person uba necabanga lokuthi shorty labantu bacabanga kanjani. So ngikolo ngithi vele sitawuchubeka and sikholelwa ukuthi kumsebenzi. Then that is why within the federation we have deliberately and consciously formed a committee responsible for campaigns. They would be pronouncing programs for campaigns for the year as a federation.
Meaning going back into the streets basically.
Meaning literally going back, saving notices for protest actions or to push.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are the issues that you had complaining about?
It includes the issue of national minimum wage.
Okay.
The issue of national minimum wage, the issue. Like kumele ukuthi siyipush.
Okay.
Itawufaka ekhathi ema issues ekubhadara kwe severance allowance at retirement.
Okay.
Utawukhona kubona mngune mhlawumbe noma bowunaka. Until 2010 uma ngabe bowusebenta bowuthi uma uretire ubhadaro nakulokutawuthiwa labanye bathi i-long service. Umthetho bowuthi i-severance allowance. Tinkantolo tifikile tafike takhumusha tathi cha bekungafanele umhulumeni noma ke tishaye imithetho tikubite nge-severance allowance ngoba lokho kusho ukuthi ukhona lokhatha lobudlelwana. Kanti lobudlelwane balomcashi nalitsebenza busuke bungakhathwa ngumuntu kusuke asefike ekugcineni eminyakeni lekuvunyelwane ngayo i-retirement age.
Yeah.
Lo muntu usuke asafike ku60 so asa retire. Tithi ke tinkantolo ngeke bese sekuthiwa lo mcasha akambhadare. The interpreter le section lena lebesinto sisebenzisa yona for all these years.
Okay.
Tase tithi ke ngaleso sikhathi tathi tishaya imithetho atihambe tiyoshintsha leligama lelithi severance allowance tibite ngalokunye mongabe tishaya imithetho tinesifiso ukuthi let 70 tiqhubeke tikthole. kuze kube lamuhla
So-
sine we moved an application immediately, a proposal to hulumende sathi sicela ukuthi ishintshwe le severance allowance ibitwe nge-service benefit
Okay.
diqhubeke disebenzise i-benefit ngoba vele beyi-benefit ethi 17 kuze kube lamuhla nyalo lomthetho ngilo ibill yawo yekucala yekusikha kwi-amenda yaqala nga 2014 to date in 2024 ngiloko iye ithi mase iphuma eParliament bedame ngathi bente ngathi bayayifaka iphindze collapse bente ngathi bayayifaka iphindze collapse even the outgone parliament yazi nje mase isalelo liviki linye bawufaka lo mthetho eParliament wa collapse yavala iParliament yavala lo mthetho ulapha ngekhathi
Yini ibudlelwano benalo eParliament? I'm curious ngoba most of the thing what dithinga eParliament dithinga umthetho dithinga lo wona lo. Don't you think you need to form budlelwane na neParliament? Ito khona ukuthi lama issues enifuna be expedited.
Mhlambeni ke lapho issue tawuqala lapha ekuthenini ngiyakhumbula nje mina mnguni ngake ngahamba ngayobona labanye bobabe laba bahleli kule bathi i portfolio committee ya Minister of Labor ngoba letindzaba letifaka ekhathi kushintshwa kwemithetho ticala lapha yana ku uma ufuna ukuthi khulumisa kufuna ulobhishe le portfolio committee aka Minister of Labor awusacela ke kubabona labantu abathana ngeva ke ngathi mesifika lena wathi lo lomunye umuntu lomdzala sengeke ngisamusho ligama wathi hawu mina bengifuna kubona ukuthi ngigina mbamba nifele lo sicela kusibona yes wafike wathi mafika lapha yana wathi hawu nguwe vele nguwe mbamba hey ngake ngakuva ngalelinye ilanga lapha yana emgwaqweni lapha yana ukhuluma vele usizaphuta usizaphuta ake sive ukuthi singakusitha njani mhlambeni iGeneral Council angikusho ngosilokuthi wemnguni lokuthi iGeneral Council ikikhulumisile lenzaba yafika lapha ekuthenini kungafuna ukuthi siyifederation sike siphinde siyo revisit ema strategies in terms of ukuthi how do we work with the individuals that have been put into office by EMA systems ordinarily as a federation lesikhuluma are undemocratic. Utsike i-General Council nyalo we are sitting with a situation where kude sivumelene ngokuthi would craft bills and lobby. Utsike question who to lobby? Who then now to lobby? Where were we? And all those kinds of questions. Loko ke sekwende ke kuthi loko sekwenda kuthi i-trade union kulesinye isikhathi kutawubita athi ingene kagogo in the literal and very serious manner to discuss kuthi ema interest ayo aphinyalo in the whole political scheme.
Well, that's a very interesting conundrum you're going to be facing. Ngifuna kubuya sengigcina lapha nobhala kulenzaba lapha edlela Ndvongeni. Sesina sinitfuka sithi nale trade union leadership or representative ulethe imali lapha seyingenile idla imali tethu lapha etindzaweni tedlela Ndvongeni and all of sorts of insults we like to concoct. Singathini lapha is that thing even for workers and if it is for workers or representing my interests and my workers, are you proud and happy with its posture, political, economic and financial, and what's the future of that institution in terms of benefiting the workers?
Ngicabanga ukuthi starting point ngilokuthi vele waze wasonzela lapha khona kunemali khona vele kukholakala nje ukuthi uyayidla
Akhotha
and the unfortunate part yalapha yana mina nje as I sit lapha the unfortunate part yakhona ukuthi le board you would be expected to make serious decisions kanzi when it comes to nikwa phela sitting, sitting is regulated by EPEU. And ingane ngalendlela lethi I encourage umuntu ukuthi ahlale khona.
What do you mean not sitting?
Is sitting ake ngithi ninemhlangano nitothatha very serious decisions. You must be paid sitting allowances.
Oh yeah, okay.
La mancane, I was listening to a chairperson Dunankulu bekabite umhlangano wabo ma chairperson bama state owned enterprises, and then now the spokesperson or representing the chairpersons was then saying siyacela lapha Nkosi kuthi yini manje nisibukele indzaba yensipha kusebenteke kule mabhodini. To an extent lenda lokuthi a board le responsible for serious decisions that can seriously cost ema workers and the nation. Ayikho bengichaza leyo ukuthi ayikho nendlela ukuthi ungayikhanza aphi le mali. Ngoba ngangcono kube lama sitting allowances abo noma ngangcono nje uyathi ukuthi hayi mengiyohlala lapho at least utawuthola noma 2000.
Good marketing alliance ehlala lapho.
Yeah, ikhona le allowance but
it's too small.
Yeah, it is too small to an extent ngisho noma bangathi yeka lamuhla you can get it.
Yeah.
So ayikho indlela lengake kuthiwe ungahlangana naphi na le mali. Mhlambeni ke sekubuye lapha ekuthenini ingabe vele are we happy with its posture political and its economic positioning and as it relates to good benefit ema workers.
Yeah.
Ngidawucala ngalokuthi utawukhumbula lokuthi sakhiwo sale fund sakhiwa ngeorder. It is not even an act of parliament. It was an order by the then King Sopoza II in 1974. It is a king's order. And lapho kule king's order vele kwakuluphupho lenkosi ukuthi kufuna ukuthi kwendeke letinto. Utawubona ke with time ukuthi vele it remains even the order itself it remains associated nekuthi vele kusikhwama lesaba liphupho lenkosi to an extent inkosi then we are told ukuthi contributed I can't recall noma 200,000 to kickstart lesquam. So utawukhanza ke ukuthi when it comes to there is that kind of history to it. Le kwenda lokuthi sibe nayo le background le center kungathi sikhoma senkosi. And then now in as much as you don't literally see uma sowufika la kulama operations kuthi inesandla lapha nalapha you don't find that, but you would find timo letingasho kungathi vele ikhona le feeling letawukuthi kenyalo no inkosi mayine kuthi akuhanjwe kubonakala lokuthi inkosi mangabe abafana benkosi bafike bato ukuthi bacela ukuthi kubukwe nakulokuthiwa social corporate social responsibility. Uma ngabe ke defineekile lokuthi mhlambe nje ake ngibekise one area kutabang leyo ukuthi uma ngabe kutawuba nabogogo bahlangene kanye nabomkhulu, the fund can assist in terms of making leyo ndzawo leyo ibe ne hygiene ibe kahle in terms of hygiene and so on. Utawukhanza ke ukuthi kube sesekuvela lokho kubonakala kwendeka ngoba khona kwendiwa in the open. Le kungifikele ke mina ngilapha yana ngathi no ungakhanza ukuthi umuntu ubona nje lokuncanyana lokuhle kuvela kanti workers and organized business labanga representa kahle ema interest ema workers can as well approach to say no sinana business nayo Sinana business nayo and ngithi labanikati balesikhwama. And they can even say no. We are then now saying let us have collateral kind of imali letawukhona ukuthi sinikwe yona tsine sitawuhlangana sibe ngu10 sibe ngema workers sinikani 10% walama contributions ethu sifuna kwakha a business officer sifuna nje kwakha nayi feedlot. And siyabona ukuthi inyama iyathengiswa ithengiswe no way siyabona ukuthi vele le nyama iyashota and imbiva isinikile i-undertaking or whosoever lo ngabe uyathenga i-undertaking yalo ukuthi angathatha lethi ngizana this is our business plan sing 10 calculate about 10% bethu babe ngi10 bese sosinika le mali and so that you can start up that business. I think those are some of them these issues lekufuna ukuthi siwa engage thina as workers include kungaba ngi-NPF noma kungaba ngi-PSPF.
That's actually a very brilliant proposal. Is it something that you would like to sell to the trade union, even to organized?
I have already started selling that idea.
That's brilliant.
To trade unions in their collective organs.
But this year, gune Workers' Day is coming in now. The past instances like get bad publicity because Party A, Party B is now fighting for prominence in the organization and all of that. I mean, it may be unfair to blow one incident out of proportion because in the past it's been harmonious. But at least with reference to the last 8-10 months, there's been a heightened political differences, for lack of a better word, between some major political parties. Trade unions. How are you going to avoid a nasty 2021 type of fight that gives bad publicity to the trade union movement and appears as if you are taking sides in some instances?
We are a creature of collective bargaining. The character yet, and we believe in dialogue. Loguti umangabe kunema differences ak dialogue. Sifuna kwenda kube intombamba. We want to walk that.
And nikufuna uhulumende kuphela, nikufuna nangakini everyone.
Yes. Ngoba tsine nje sinako lokukholelwa lokuthi vele le dialogue kufuna ike iqale kulama comrades who are demanding dialogue.
Yeah.
To dialogue among themselves. Ngoba sike sathi sine siyo celebrate sise St. Paul's. Si celebrate 10 years. Si samecha. That was celebration of unity. We noted there were serious tensions of disunity amongst the comrades whom we had invited. And to an extent that kulolanzelako May Day, our unions were saying, no, we should not allow political parties to address our events. That was the decision that was taken.
Okay.
And then we were then now saying, as leadership, but ngekuvakale. It cannot be us. It cannot be us. Ngoba, if it can easily be us, we would say that. We would literally be saying to the employers, would literally be saying to the government, they should do that to us as well. Ngoba nanathi singake sike sithi siyawubita umhlangano wethu ama comrades awuhambise kabi. But ngeke sibese sesibheka ukuthi utawuthi ke lo mcashi ayisale ikhanselwa le recognition agreement lesinayo ngesizathu sokuthi kube nemhlangano lapha na kwabanjani. So thina nje we managed that. Mongabe uyakhumbula ukuthi kwentekane Big Band. It was very peaceful because we had engaged the comrades. And sakusho lesiva ngathi kwenta ukuthi lemhlangano wethu ingahambi kahle. Ngoba ngeke ngakusho earlier. Sibhekile lama comrades akabita umhlangano lofana nalolu siyobite ngamayide. And sikubhekile ukuthi lama comrades akwende lokho. Uma ngabe afuna kusilayela ukuthi they want to lead. They must call that kind of a meeting. A joint meeting. They must call that. Then that is why utawukhumbula nga 1996, 96 noma 97. Bese the struggle was literally being led by the trade union in terms of prominence. Then that is why bese sinema problems in terms of kubonakala ukuthi ngibani lo leader the political the political issue. Kungabisa sekungesi-clear to an extent thina siyathi lokuthi thina nje bese sivele sigijima uma ngabe kunalama strikes bo 95 96 97 bema
Labour.
27 demands siyathi kodwa ukuthi bekubobani that were assisting the labor movement in terms of mobilizing, in terms of resistance, in terms of all those things, because bekunale coordination. But ngesizathu sokuthi babangafeli ukuthi they are doing that work, they felt ukuthi no bafuna kunyatheleka permanent, because trade union leaders at that time they felt ukuthi no they are responsible for both. They are responsible for both bread and butter issues and political issues.
Okay.
Lele kwase kudala ke nyalo lokungathi mhlambe sekunalo mgcubudala. Thine itaba yinye nje indlela we would engage these comrades in the same manner that we engaged them in 2022, and we are very hopeful that we will be having a very peaceful workers celebration this time stabe sikaho.
Okay.
Yes.
Go, speak.
No. Would besingafisa kuba in southern Hoho, meaning around Babane.
Oh,
If
okay.
it then becomes possible.
No, thank you so much, Lopara. I really appreciated. Siyathemba ukuthi also a trade union in the future will properly celebrate the life of Babe Chan Sithole, Babe Zengcongwane, because during the COVID era, and there was not enough to celebrate them with the milestone that all of you really stood on those giants. Siyathemba ukuthi that's part of the thinking that's within the trade union, and also for heritage and history purposes to document their contribution for future generations.
True. That can be that is an idea. Lengicabanga ukuthi it is very profound, and it can easily be taken by the structures of the federation.
Yeah,
we
no.
very much recognize these comrades.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Nopala. Thank you for your time.